I want the bets from betting weekly, because we win. That is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show. Bet Rivers sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
This is Betting Weekly Live. You're with Dan Roebuck and Lewis Jones. Premier League, Serie A and La Liga analysis and picks coming your way. We've got the daily double as well. Lewis, how are you? Another betting weekend in the book. How is your P&L? Challenging, I thought. For me personally, anyway.
Well, yeah, frustrating one for me, really. It's all over Sunderland on the Asian lines at Man City, with a theory that I'm going to put into action as well tonight when we're talking about the Wolves versus Manchester United game regarding odds-on shots at this time of the year in this particular game week. All of them ran quite badly, to be honest. All the ones that were odds-on. Arsenal lost. Liverpool drew. Brighton drew. Newcastle only got a 2-1 win at Burnley. So if you are back in the handicap angle, which I had brought to the various people's attentions this weekend, you've done okay. It's just the game that I honed in on was the one that unfortunately went awry from a handicap perspective, with Ruben Diaz scoring belters from outside the box just to scupper that game plan, really. So frustrating on that point of view for Man City. Also quite liked Fulham as well. They were a good side, aren't they? Crystal Palace. I mean, Oliver Glasner got to be pound for pound one of the best around, isn't he? Fantastic result that they keep going despite having a squad which is very threadbare. And the Liverpool story just gathered even more amazing momentum, really, with that Mohamed Salah outburst. I was working on Saturday night, so had to cover that for Sky. An unbelievable. I thought it was AI at first. I couldn't actually believe it was actually him. We had to do a lot of checks to make sure that it was a genuine piece of content from the mix zone. But yeah, it was, and extraordinary stuff from Mohamed Salah. Gives Arne Slot a big problem, I think.
Yeah, massive. We'll delve into some futures chat a little bit later on in the show. Just, I mean, for me, the Fulham game was the one. I've been fading Crystal Palace with a bit of success. Obviously, United and Strasbourg took the lead in those games and got beat. So I bet Fulham at the start of the game, and then when Palace took the lead, I thought this is the opportunity here. This is massive. So got on the draw, got on Palace, sort of laid him in English terms. And then when it went 1-1, I thought, what shall I do? I thought, well, I'm still in a good position. Then when it went, well, when I thought it went 2-1, I thought, well, this is it. Fantastic.
Yeah, I was in the same boat,
And then the VAR situation. I thought, well, look, I'm still winning with a draw, but I had some fairly heavy liabilities. But unfortunately, that 87th-minute goal did me, and that did my weekend, unfortunately. So I hope.
Well, it just shows you how important set pieces are again, Dan, doesn't it? I mean, there's such fine margins in some of these football matches between lots of teams that are very close together in that sort of it's a very congested league, isn't it? There's not much between them, and this is where this little bit of set piece output, or having a set piece coach, all that extra little bit of physicality and aggression in the box can just make such a difference in the Premier League this season. And unfortunately, for both our bank accounts, definitely hurt us, didn't it? But we just roll with it again. And I think you're right to bring up this Palace flagging theory. I do think it's going to land at some point. I mean, they've got another game in midweek, haven't they? They've got Arsenal coming up in the Carabao Cup as well. So surely the levels are going to drop at some point, especially in second half. So I think it's probably one to keep going with, Dan.
Yeah, look, we've had a bit of fun with it, or at least I have, with a couple of games. Did it with Burnley, didn't work. Did it at the weekend, didn't work. But you look at the stats and it's still the right bet. You look at the chances that Fulham missed. Anyway, we move on. Byron says, "Morning, everyone. That was a rough one this weekend." And Bulu Charles says, "Good day, Dan and Lewis. The boys made us some money in the extra time show. Yeah, really good pick from the Angers line." Leslie Mack says, "Panathinaikos double chance." Duncan is with us. Mike says, "Hi, great work, Steve, spotting how poor Nice were. They were beaten. Indeed, they were." Ming echoing that as well. Byron saying, yeah, EPL was terrible. MK88 says, hello. Villafan says, hi, Dan. Hi, Lewis. Great to see you both laying the Champions League draw update coming soon on X. Yeah, Adam's doing a great job with that. Leslie Max says, torture Chelsea. Yeah. That 0-0 game wasn't great. What else we got? I believe Nigel faded Palace too. Do we fade Nigel? Says the real Brendan King. We never fade Nigel, ever. Hi from Toronto. Rough week in the EPL, says the real. Hey, well, yeah, it wasn't straightforward. Let's get Lewis's opinion on some of these big soccer bets, winners and losers over the course of the weekend that our friends at Bet Rivers have let us pull back the curtain to have a look at. $39,000 play on Crystal Palace over 0.5 first half goals plus 115, which was a winner. I mean, that sort of, Lewis, plays into this sort of Crystal Palace are starting well, the sort of Strasbourg and United games, but they do get fatigued late on. I talked about it with Will White and the Christmas do. And it's like, you know, if you are going to fade Palace, you almost better wait until they've had their little spell, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an in-play. They're an in-play team at the moment, aren't they? I think you have to wait and keep your powder dry to snap up the value. As you mentioned, your your theory for your bets over the weekend in that game seemed like they're pretty spot on. And if you repeated the trick over a long period, I think you'd probably come out. You'd definitely come out in front. So you've just got to take the rough with the smooth sometimes. And yeah, I think they're an in-play team at the moment to keep an eye on Palace, because I think they should regress as the game goes on. So yeah, definitely a theory to take advantage of where you can in the in-play markets for sure.
$24,000 play on Brighton West Ham over 1.5 goals, which was a winner, and also over 0.5 first half goals, which was a loser. $18,000 play on Paris Saint-Germain Rennes over first half goals, 0.5 over first half goals. Bayern Munich live over 1.5 first half goals, which was a loser against Stuttgart. They came on strong, didn't they, late on with Harry Kane. Inter Miami, Vancouver Whitecaps live over 3.5 goals. It was 3-1 in the end, wasn't it? The MLS Cup final. It was a $15,000 play. It was that late goal that got on. I didn't watch the game. I don't know if you were across it at all. Obviously, Messi lifting yet another trophy, but by all accounts, the Caps were maybe a little unlucky. Messi had a hand in all 3 goals. Did you watch any of it, Lewis?
No, I didn't catch it. Yeah. I saw the celebrations with Sir David Beckham having some nice time with his players, and apart from Messi, who didn't look very happy actually during the
no, he didn't. I saw that,
which was very very odd. But yeah, I mean, just shows you the World Cup on the horizon as well for Argentina. It's going to be exciting to see that Messi tearing it up probably still, and we just got to savor every moment we can of seeing him play at the top level. I think it'd be great to see him in the summer.
Yeah, I wonder the MLS Cup sort of winners medal might be fairly low down when it comes to his list when he looks back at his career, but it's still nice to do. A $6,000 play on Xavi Simons to at least 1 assist in the Tottenham Brentford game, plus 410. That's nicely done. Also had some big long odds winners as well. $40 play on Aston Villa on the money line. Adam had liked that one against Arsenal. It was in play 60-1. That must have been, I don't know, some stage very late on. Then we've got Christopher, just what I mentioned the golf one, because always mention the odd golf. We got $1,000 play on Christopher Wrighton to win the Nedbank Golf Challenge to win $28,000. So well done if you managed to cop that. What have we got here? Cree says, are we trusting United? We're going to get to the United game shortly, not first up, because we've got an early Serie A game. What else have we got? Watch out, Gunners, that lead is evaporating. We're going to talk futures shortly. The real Brendan King. I'll never understand the MLS Cup final being a one-game playoff hosted by whoever had the more points. Yeah, highest up the conference standings. Just pick a venue at the start of the season like the Champions League or the Super Bowl. Yeah, maybe. Shane says, Lewis... thanks, Lewis. Oh, hang on a minute. CS Lewis, for those who don't know. I'm not quite sure what that one is. I hope you're both well. I thought Stroud disappointed in the second half. Couldn't deal with the Chiefs blitz. So talking about NFL. We've got some NFL trends and stats for you a little bit later on as well. City are now 94 in the title. We'll get into that in just a second for you. But first up, we are going to take a look, Lewis, at an early game, which is Udinese Genoa. Which kicks off midday. So in about 50 minutes' time, I'm going to try and get the team news up, actually, or the correct team while we're speaking about this one, Lewis. I spoke with James and Steve on the European show on Friday, and if you want to go back and listen to what they said about it, you can do. James spotted a really good trend with Genoa basically suggesting that since Patrick Vieira has gone and Daniel De Rossi has come in, it's basically Vieira was a massive unders coach. Now Genoa at the moment, and it's a small sample size, is an overs coach. With Vieira in charge this season, there was a small profit on over 2.5 of plus 142. Since Vieira left, plus 755 to level stakes. That's Serie A matches only. De Rossi wasn't in charge for the Sassuolo win, but he was in charge for the Coppa Italia defeat last midweek. But they did have a player sent off in that game in the first half. So that's worth bearing in mind. Udinese are a little bit of an overs team as well at home. So James was very much buying into the overs. You can play over 2.5 at plus 145. We've got an over 1.5 line on screen. The over 2.25 line is plus 112, which is the one I will be betting as long as I can get off the show early enough to get my bets down. And over 2 is minus 127, which I think is acceptable as well. So I think from a sort of betting weekly show point of view, as in the Euro show and myself today, we're going to play overs in this one. We don't think, Lewis, that the bookmakers have caught up with the fact that Genoa are now without Patrick Vieira. De Rossi has come in. They're catching up a little bit, but not in its entirety. This is the shortest over 2.5 goal line since he was sacked. It's gone plus 170, plus 182, plus 204, plus 199, and today's plus 140. So they're getting there, but for us, that plus 140 is still a bit of value. I'm going to play 2.25, just to have a little bit of a safety net. Have you got anything for us in Udinese Genoa? You may well be on mute. Are you on mute? Still on mute.
Apologies.
There we go.
Apologies. I'm back. I'm just absolutely rowing behind James Easton. One thing I've learned from my time working with the guys here, it's when James Easton speaks, very much keep your ears open. And the case he's made and you've made there makes perfect sense for the overs. So I'll be absolutely rowing in behind and tailing those bets this evening. And would encourage everyone else to have a good think about jumping on. But just want to bring a little bit of a set piece angle actually to the table. You know, I'm very keen on my centre backs and trying to find mismatches with certain teams with strengths and weaknesses. And we think we might have one here with Genoa going up against Udinese, because Genoa are excellent at set pieces, Dan, and have thrived actually since new managers come in. And even if you equate it all over the entirety of the season, they're only behind Inter and Parma for shots from set pieces this season. So third in that metric, and they are second in the actual goal metric as well. 6 goals they've scored from set pieces this season. And there's one man here that seems to be getting on the end of everything, especially of late. He's not a player I know much about, so it's not an official pick for me. So I don't know too much about the ins and outs of this guy, but he's just going by his data. He's definitely a man to have a look for. And his name is Leo Ostigard, the Genoa centre-back. 3 goals in his last 4 starts for Genoa. He's had 8 shots in those 4 games, Dan. 6 on target. And his price, plus 420 for a shot on target this evening. So it's only a small sample size, this data regarding Ostigard. But change of manager, probably change of approach, change the way the set pieces have been taken, and he looks like he's the one that's to the fore of all their set pieces. I mean, that sort of data is sort of Gabriel levels for Arsenal, isn't it? That's really, really strong. And Gabriel would never go off these sort of prices for a shot on target. He would go a lot shorter than that. So just looking at the data and how much Genoa take set pieces seriously, certainly would lean the 420 on the shot on target. And well, if you're going to hit the shot on target as well, considering he scored 3 in his last 4, plus 1,200 to score any time as well. Both look lively outsiders to me in a game where I just think you could sometimes keep it simple and just listen to what James Easton says and follow the overs, I would say.
Yeah, as Byron has pointed out, actually, the overs has shifted a little bit, quite considerably. Plus, over 2 is now plus money, I think, but I'm just trying to check that. I think you're absolutely right as well. I'm not quite sure why there's been a move outwards. Plus 185 over 2.5. So even over 2 goals, which is a line I really like because you get that 1-1 onside.
Yeah.
Is plus money at plus 110. I'm struggling to get the team use. Hopefully there's not. It must be a shift because of team use here. It might be worth digging into that. Here we go. The half space is on. Ostergaard's not in the starting 11. So
okay.
maybe that is one of the reasons. There we go. Many thanks to John for getting the team news up as quick as this. This is really good. Now, when you look at that Genoa line, I would imagine here that it'll be Vitinha and Colombo up front. Norton Cuff is an interesting player on that right hand side. Thorsby, as far as I can remember, has been scoring a few goals as well. I have to triple check that I'm not putting people away here. With that, but that's a bit of a blow that Ostergaard isn't playing, given the fact that we were just talking about it. But at least, from the team news that's just come in, that you don't have to waste your money.
Oh,
on
Ostergaard by the looks of it. So it's maybe his.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a bit of a mainstay, Ostergaard. So maybe the fact he's missing has had an effect on the prices.
Yeah.
But I mean, it probably maybe leaning towards Udinese if he's missing. But hey, it's a shame he's not playing, because that looked like a really good angle to exploit. But we could find
I think the fact that he is not playing here, and he's got 3 goals this season, as you mentioned, which is more than anyone else in Genoa, has affected the market. It's as simple as that. I mean, he is a defender, as you say. He will play at the back normally, but that's an interesting one. That would move the market so much. If it was a striker, you'd think it would be different, or you think
is Vasquez playing? Is Vasquez playing, Dan? Is he in the starting lineup? He was the second on the list, centre backs wise.
He is. Yes, he is. He is. Yeah.
Well, he's plus 1,500 to score any time. He's got pretty good data when it comes to just looking at his shots on target data. This season, it's obviously not as strong as the original guy, Ostergaard, but he's definitely he looks a threat still. He's averaging a shot a game this season, and he's had 2 shots on target in his last 3. So if Ostergaard is out, as has been confirmed, this Vasquez chap might be the first contact now on set pieces. And he's has he scored yet this season? He hasn't scored yet this season, but he's had lots of shots. I think he's had 12 shots this season, Vasquez. So that might be the replacement bet. Vasquez might be the first port of contact now from these set pieces, so maybe switcheroo. Have a look into him, and if you fancy him at plus 1,500, then go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, that's a little bit of a diversion from what Lewis was going to do, but it's only a lean. Follow it if you want to. We've had to sort of readjust. I'm still going to play overs. I realise that top goal scorer is out, but he's a defender. It's not. Genoa have underachieved this season. I mean, I thought Vieira was a little unlucky to go in that respect. I bet them. Plus a quarter on the Asian line as well. Definitely going to play over 2 at plus money. Get that 1-1 online for sure. Let's just tell you where the money's going. 85% the money, 86% the tickets on Udinese. This is one of the reasons why I wanted the draw on side, because the money lost to Milan and Bologna at home. 67% the money on under, 69% of the tickets on over. So I'm with the rec money today. And you can watch that game live on the BetRivers app or the BetRivers website, as you can Torino, Milan, Osasuna, Levante, Guimarães, Gil Vicente in Portugal, Besiktas, Gaziantep, also some Danish, some Ligue 2, and plenty of second-tier Italian football as well that you can take a look at. So have a look at Vasquez just for a sort of minor lean. If you're looking for a player prop in that one, have a look at over 2 at plus money. I think that is a really smart bet in the game that kicks off in about 45 minutes time.
Yeah, that let's just remind everyone, Dan, is sort of edging towards 2-1 now, which is I know it doesn't really. It'd be interesting to hear James Eastham's thoughts on that. Whether it's still a case of keep going, bigger the price, the bigger the value, etc. But
absolutely,
it's a very interesting drift to get near to sort of 2-1 plus 200. So interesting move.
I don't really get it, to be honest. If you look at some of the XG holds up to when De Rossi's come in. The XG has held up as well. It's not as if they're way overperforming their expected goals. It's an odd one for me. Meatman Soccer says, hey, fellas, Malinowski shot on target plus 150, and the overs land here. Thanks, Steve. Right, let's have a quick just check on the EPL futures. We had 1 or 2 in the comments talking about the fact that Arsenal are getting a little bit nervy. It's still very early on in the season. Minus 155 now, Lewis. Man City are plus 175 after their easy win. Chelsea 25-1, Liverpool 25-1. Do those prices look about right for you? And Arsenal's next 4 games: Wolves at home, Everton away, Brighton at home, Villa at home in the Premier League only. City are obviously live contenders. Are Arsenal having a proper wobble, or were Villa just on their day too good at the weekend?
Well, I hope this is the start of the wobble, Dan, because I've taken a bit of a view in the futures market about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I decided that Arsenal were far too short for my thinking, just in terms of their inability to keep players fit, and the fact that if a team can just keep tabs on them over this period at Christmas and get into the run-in with a little bit of pressure on their shoulders, I do believe that this Arsenal team, I still have got big questions to answer when it comes to getting over the line, and the manager.
Bit of scar tissue, maybe.
The pressure on the manager to win something this season is going to rear its head at some point. He has to win something, and he has to juggle a lot of competitions. And when you've got a team like Manchester City, managed by Pep Guardiola, who is going to be completely up for this chase, I had to lay Arsenal when they were at that sort of minus 120, 1.8 sort of on the exchanges. So I've sort of acted as the bookmaker and laid them at those sort of prices. So I've got the rest of the league running for me around those prices. So it was a good weekend for me in terms of that. It sort of shifted back in my favour, that drop points. But yeah, no, I'm happy with my position against Arsenal still. I do think they are going to come under fire at some point this season, and they don't seem to be able to keep their players fit, Dan, which is a really big issue. And people have been telling me that the drop-off to their next level isn't as bad as it once was, and I do agree with that to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. But the fact, if you lose Gabriel, Saliba and Mosquera at the heart of your defence, that is going to have a knock-on effect, I think, to the rest of the team. No consistency in your back four. So yeah, I am still very much of the opinion that Arsenal are still a little bit too short, and I just hope, for my own liability's sake, that Manchester City can just keep tabs on them over this really crucial period. Obviously, the next month or so is probably going to make or break my bet on Arsenal, because if they turn it on and they go on a run and they deal with the injury crisis they're in, and Man City have slip-ups, then if they get a 6, 7, 8 point cushion by mid-January, I think they'll be okay. But just got to hope that a couple of teams keep on their coattails and keep the pressure on them. So I'm happy to still lay Arsenal at those prices, just until I see that they can actually get through a season without these injuries, and it's going to ramp up on Arteta at some point if the chasing pack close in.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. He's got to win something. They've got the best squad, but they're dropping points. City's next 4 games: Palace away, West Ham at home, Forest away, Sunderland away. They're plus 175, Chelsea 25s, Liverpool 25s. Are Villa in the conversation? 28-1, Lewis. Just have a think on that for a second. Villa's next 4 games: West Ham away, Man United at home, Chelsea away, Arsenal away. There's some toughies in there. And just to get some comments, before we get Lewis's thoughts here, Ken says, like always, Arsenal fans think that you win the title in November. The half space was put up Northern Coffey to win a foul. Says he looks decent. He's up against Amura, who's made a foul in 5 of 7. Good stats from the half space. Ming says only Arsenal can beat Arsenal this season, Lewis. The real Brendan King talking about the fact that Simon Holden said get on City, and also about that Hearts game. Yeah, Neil Channing was tweeting about that. Man United look far too short for top 4. Surely, yeah, we'll talk about United in a sec. Grazer says it's hard to trust City the way that they concede goals. City gave up 4 goals to Fulham. Yeah, good luck with that. What do you think? Going back to Villa, are Villa in the title race, or are they value for top 4? Plus 135, top 4, Lewis. Gives your thoughts on Villa.
Well, they have rode against the data this season, haven't they, Aston Villa, in a big way. I mean, they've scored lots of goals from outside the box. But this is Unai Emery. That doesn't worry me too much, because Unai Emery traditionally is a manager that does seem to row against expected goals. And as a defensive unit, they are really underrated, actually. Konsa and Torres, as a pairing, they lead that back line with such authority and bravery with the way they push up the pitch, and they set the tone for everything that Villa do. And I always think when the offside against numbers spike in Villa matches, that's when you want to be following them, because that's when they're playing at their best, when they're playing high up the pitch, playing very confidently. It's so hard to get in behind them, the way that Konsa and Torres are in sort of sync with each other. So those two stay fit, and Emery can keep the momentum going and manage the squad across. Obviously, he's got a Europa League campaign that he's going to probably put a lot of eggs in that basket as always. Then maybe the price is a little bit disrespectful to them, considering that they are very close to Arsenal and they have just beaten them. But it's a funny old season. You do never know, but they're probably gonna need Arsenal to have a bad wobble and probably not hit. If Arsenal finish, say, maybe 82 3 points, maybe Villa could get to that level if they really like put their foot down and they can manage it. But I think still Arsenal are going to be hitting that near sort of 80, 88, 89, 90 mark this season with the way the fixtures are and things and the way they've started. So tall order, but maybe the price is a little bit disrespectful towards Villa. But I wouldn't be backing them just yet.
Top four? No.
Well, I hope so. I backed them at the start of the season on their points line. So I think it was over like 58 points or something.
Right.
They were really generously priced over the summer, and I'm just sort of concentrating on that, getting that done and getting that over the line. Especially after the start they made, I was very, very worried that we were going to get nowhere near it. So I'm investment-wise on Villa, I'm just concentrating on getting them over them points lines. But top four, yeah, plus 135. It's about right, I think, Dan. I think at the moment, I don't fancy United. I don't really fancy Newcastle at those prices. So maybe of a process of elimination with Liverpool struggling as well. Maybe there is a little bit of juice there, but it's a bit too early.
Might squeeze it.
Bit too early.
Palace, incidentally, are plus 550 for top four. They are in the top four at the moment. We've got a poll going on here. Will Aston Villa finish in the top four? Just very quickly, Palace are in the top four. They're plus 550. They're plus 175 for a top six finish. And Everton are in the top six at the minute. They are plus 450 for a top six finish. Lewis, very quickly on those two, Palace, Everton.
Palace, if they didn't have the Europa Conference League to manage alongside it, absolutely, I would be all over that price for top four. They're one of the best teams in this league this season. I've got no doubt about that. But it's back to that conversation we had at the start. Are they going to be able to sustain these levels after Christmas? Probably not. But yeah, no. If they get knocked out of the Europa Conference League somehow, Dan, then maybe I could maybe get involved. But I'd have to wait to see on that front. And Everton, yeah, they're doing great, but I don't think it's going to be a sustainable challenge towards the top six. I think they'll have a good season, finish top 10, but I think that'd be just a bit too far for them this season, I think.
Sean says I got Villa at 900 after the first three games. Yeah, didn't win any of them. Good luck with that one. Hope you've got a run for your money already. Mike says,
I've seen on the exchanges in the UK here, about £588 was matched at 1,000 to 1 on Aston Villa to win the Premier League. So there were people out there still believing, even at that point of the season.
Brad Best Footy says Villa top four, no chance at that price. Sorry, European 40 maybe. What else have we got? Yeah, I don't know. Mike says, yeah, I've got them at top six and with Brighton at 100 to 1. Does Palace squad have what it takes to maintain the push? This is the thing, isn't it? You know, we keep talking about that squad all the time anyway. We've done that to death. Let's get some plays for the later games here. Three big games to get Lewis's thoughts on for this. 58% suggesting that Villa will finish in the top four. Brad Bett says Palace need game Mateta, Wharton to stay healthy. That is true. Not enough squad depth talking about that. Emery's such a good manager. United's problems will be solved overnight. Oh, Man United. Well, let's talk about them next, shall we? Oh, my word. What do we do with Manchester United, Mr. Lewis Jones? This is the final game of match week 15 of the Premier League. When we recorded the EPL show on Thursday, United were minus 132. When I put my notes together for this show this morning, they were minus 165. Now they're minus 177. I usually open up every single betting conversation, Lewis, about United games with nobody in their right mind is betting United at minus money. But there's plenty of people that obviously are. Wolves obviously yet to win in the Premier League this season. They're plus 430. Give us your thoughts on Wolves against you. I've got no bet in this. Wolves United, what do you think?
Well, yeah, no one's betting Man United at those prices apparently, but every week
but
they seem
are.
to be. Yes, exactly. And I'm absolutely not one of those people taking Manchester United at odds on in this spot. I mean, I mentioned it in the intro, didn't I, about teams that go off odds on in this game week, which is a very tricky game week, isn't it? Because it comes after a midweek round after a very busy period after international break, and it's always ones just where the odds-on favourites seem to struggle to really deliver their best performances and win games, and also win cover handicaps. So the last 20 teams who have gone off odds on in this exact game week over the past, I'd say, 5 seasons now, this is including this weekend's result, only one team has won that game by more than 1 goal, so covered the 1 goal handicap. So 19, if you backed all of the underdogs on the plus 1.5 handicap start, you'd have won 19 times. And guess which team covered their handicap, Dan, of all the 20 teams who have done that in the last few years? Of course, it was Manchester City at Sunderland on the week where I had probably one of my most strongest plays of the season on the Sunderland handicaps. So the theory's spot on, but I didn't get paid from it, unfortunately, yet. But this is a chance to get something back, I think, because I'd made a bit of money off West Ham yesterday. I'm sort of clawing it back, and I'm just going to use the same theory here on taking on teams that odds on in this game week, because I think the logic is spot on, I think, to go along with that set of numbers, just because teams aren't going to be at their best physical condition. Managers have to really manage their squads and be quite tactical and shrewd with who's playing. And I think this is where the best managers do flourish at this time of the season. So, yeah, just looking at the weekend, I mentioned it earlier. Arsenal lost, Liverpool drew at Leeds, Brighton at home to West Ham, they drew. Newcastle only beat Burnley 2-1 and were wobbling over the line there. So even if you'd back Burnley plus 1.5, you'd have copped there at a nice price. Yeah. So do think there's definitely legs in this theory. And Wolves tonight on the plus 1.5 handicap, a minus 186. So meaning we'll win as long as Manchester United don't win by 2 or more goals. And I think that's a nice spot to be. Yeah. And I want to include that in the daily double.
Sure.
Because I just think that can play a part in a first leg. I mean, this is going to be a tough sell, this, isn't it? Based on what Wolves have done this season, I think, because obviously had an absolute nightmare. Wolves, the recruitment and the decision making behind the scenes have gone to absolute pot. They've lost their last 7 Premier League games. Haven't scored in 495 minutes. But these runs don't last forever in football, Dan. I'm always a bit of a trend ender kind of punter. I always think these runs do snap. And when they do, it's always, I like to think, a fixture where the market has started to write the underdog off so much that it's just like a complete right. Yeah, they've just been written off so much in the market that this is where it likes to snap. And I bet the footballing gods can work their sort of like narrative all over Manchester United here, I think, because this is just this is such a pressurized game for Manchester United, I think, tonight, because they're such an untrustworthy beast, aren't they? I think they're just such a team that rely on moments rather than really a solid sort of underlying process behind their performances. And I just, away from home, I can't trust them, even against Wolves, who are going to probably be the worst side in the Premier League this season. I mean, since April the 1st, United have gone 12 away games without a clean sheet, 24 goals conceded. Only Bournemouth have conceded more in that period. And their XG against 1.72 per 90 away from home across their last 12 games. And that is a really scary figure for a manager that has received a bit of praise this season in terms of improvement. But I think the bar was so low last season that to even improve to the levels they have isn't good enough for Manchester United as a football club. I'm not seeing a big shift in their underlying process, really. I think they've got a good couple of players up front, and Mbeumo and Cunha have made the difference. Diallo's playing quite well down the right and is linking with Mbeumo really cleverly, but they still look a level below like a top 6, top 8 teams to me. They look like a mid-table team to me. And when you just factor in that, if they are a mid-table team, there is no way you would back a mid-table team at those sort of prices to go and even beat Wolves away from home, where the atmosphere could be quite lively tonight at Molineaux. I mean, Matheus Cunha's coming back to the club, and they're going to be actually up for this one because they'll want to put one over on Cunha, who didn't really leave with much dignity, I don't think. He
definitely
lost
not.
A lot of friends, I think, at Wolves towards the end due to his sort of selfish nature. So I think Molineaux would be up for it. Pressure's on Manchester United, and when the pressure's on Manchester United, as we saw against Everton in the home game when they were absolutely abysmal at trying to break down Everton's 10-man and end up somehow losing the game as well. No way I can trust them. So I've just got to utilise my theory here on Wolves and this odds-on, taking on the odds-on shots where I can. So that minus 186. Wolves plus 1.5 on the handicap. So just hopefully Manchester United not to win by 2 or more goals. That's how I'm going to play it. I know it's a short price, but I'm going to put it in the daily double, and hopefully it'll land. And this theory can finally win me some money back after it somehow failed so miserably on my Manchester City Sunderland play at the weekend. Dan, can you see where I'm coming from with it? Or am I talking?
No, 100%. And I mean, United have been odds on away from home 4 times. I made it since Amarin has rocked up at United. They've won only 1. I know it's a small sample size, but I just don't think you can trust them at the prices. This is the problem with United. I completely agree. Cunha's an interesting one because Brad Betts put his Cunha revenge match here. Byron says United are now minus 190. They're still getting absolutely smashed off the boards here. What else have we got? United odds more damning indictment of Wolves. Maybe. I mean, that's the other side of the coin. Yeah. Louis Mitt, that's very, very true. And what are the odds on them getting a record low points total now? Well, the record low is 11, isn't it? From
I don't think they're that bad.
I don't think
they're not the worst. They're not the worst team to ever played in the Premier League. They're not. They've created. I think they've underperformed their goal. They've only scored 7 goals this season. The XG is something like 13.6.
Correct. I've done a few times.
They're creating chances. They're creating chances. They got some good players. João Gomez is missing tonight, unfortunately, but
Andre,
he's suspended. Arias comes with a big.
Yeah,
Gomez especially. Yeah. So and Strand Larsen has shown he can score goals in the Premier League before. He just needs to get probably one to go in off his arse to get his confidence going. But it's I've still got a little bit of faith in Wolves, not much, but my views on Manchester United and the prices involved here and just where this fixture fits in terms of taking on odds-on shots. I just have to get against United tonight.
Byron says, Cunha to score or assist, minus 115 could be worse. Brad says, is there a place to find all the time record for EPL matches on Monday Night Football, total goals, win-loss? There is, but yeah, I mean, they have that information on the Opta stats site, don't they, I think? You could probably find it somewhere, Brad, but I couldn't tell you exactly where. What else have we got? Humble Leviathan says, backing Man United seems to be the mental play, but backing Wolves seems worse. This is true. We'll take a draw for the 1.5 handicap line.
Absolutely.
Brad, thoughts on Wolves team total over 1.5? Can they get 2 here, Lewis? Quickly. Maybe.
No, I'd say that. I think one might be enough.
That's like that. Dave says, Brave Man Wolves haven't scored a goal in 5 games. Clown World FC says United only won 1 of the last 10 head-to-heads by more than 1 goal and lost the last 2. Some interesting thoughts here. For sure. We've got the poll going for you as well for that United game at Wolves. United conceded 17, 18 matches. It's one that I'm going to leave alone, but I like you, Lewis's angle. Part 1 of the Daily Double. Daily Double's been flying as well recently. Most of the money on United. Most of the money is on overs. We've got a house special, United to score 3 or more goals and win, plus 180. $3,500 on Wolves over 1.5 total cards at minus 172, and a $2,000 play on Wolves to have the most cards at plus 118. The under 2.5 goals market is hitting 7 of the last 8 Premier League matches between Wolves and United. Halftime scoreline has been 0-0 in each of Wolves' last 4 EPL matches. That's not the worst. And Wolves have lost each of his last 7, haven't won in the Premier League, as we know. Let's move on. Steve Lynn says he's going to go with United. United to nil, small bet. United have been backed. Byron says Wolves on the 3-way 2-0 start, minus 190. Dan's favourite marketplace. I can't have that 3-way handicap. I can't have it at all. Right, let's move on because we are running out of time. Let's talk you through Torino Milan next, which is 2:45. Eastern. Torino plus 425, Milan minus 150. Last I looked, Milan were plus 350 for the Scudetto. They've drifted a little bit. That's because of wins for Inter and Napoli. Good wins as well for the pair over the course of the weekend. Inter minus 112 after smashing Como. Napoli beat Juve, of course. Worth reminding everyone that Milan have no European football this season and were knocked out of the Coppa Italia last week. They've only got league games between now and the end of the season. That is it. Do we trust them at -140? Well, the -150 here. They've been bet just a little bit. Have you got an angle in for Torino, Milan here? I like Milan here. I'm betting Milan to 0. They have got a fair record. 6 of Milan's 8 Serie A wins in 13 matches have been to 0. I'll take the +170. I think Torino, who have been hammered on the other occasion recently, are one very much to fade. And I think they'll sit in and bunker in and look to maybe just try and nick a draw here. It might set it up for another sort of 1-0, 2-0 Milan win. Any thoughts on this one for us, Lewis?
Yeah, a very odd side to evaluate, actually, Torino. So I was looking at their results this season. I mean, they're conceding 1.77 goals per 90, but they've also kept 5 clean sheets. It's sort of like a bit of a feast or famine with them in terms of the way they either are really defensively solid or they just go to absolute pot. I mean, conceded 5 at home to Como, 5 to Inter, 3 to Atalanta, 3 to Lazio. So things can spiral quite quickly when they concede the first goal. Don't like backing teams like that at all, because I feel like if they fall behind, it's more or less game over for them. So I can definitely see why people are having a play on Milan here, because, as you say, they got only one competition to focus on this season. They've beaten Inter Milan this season already, and having dug a little bit into Inter's metrics with them playing Liverpool in midweek, Inter a really, really strong underlying data backed side as well. I mean, they've won 19 of their 20 expected goals battles this season, Inter. So they're a very good side, and AC have managed to beat them this season. So that's a nice bit of form to look at. I'm no official play again, but Rafael Leao to score +165. Dan, I thought that was okay. Since returning from injury in October, no player has scored more goals than him in the league. I think he's got 5 in his last 6 starts. He's sort of a maverick, isn't he, Leao? I really like watching him. He's not really famed for consistency, but can conjure up something from nothing. I do like backing players to score who are like that, because they can go missing for a long period and bang, one chance and they can do something out of the ordinary. And just looking at his sort of heat maps and the data of the last few games, AC Milan definitely playing. The game plan is to hit Leao and get him into dangerous areas. He's the highest for shots, volume, shots on target, touches in the opposition box. So I think if Milan are going to win the game, and as you say, minus money for them to do so, I think Leao's going to have something to do with it. And him to score at +165 just might be the angle to just to eke out a little bit more of a bigger price.
Yeah, they made a lot of changes. They were beaten by Lazio in the Coppa last time, and they made a lot of changes for that game. Big guns will be back. I think Pulisic's still out. He's ill at the minute, so I'm not quite sure if he's going to play, but I think they'll have enough anyway. I mean, I'm not quite sure if they're going to win the Scudetto. They're not as good as Napoli and Inter. It all depends how good they are in the Champions League. I think if they go deep into the Champions League, it might set it up for Milan to win it. I'm going to bet them win to 0. Leao's obviously the main man. This is a game you can watch on the BetRivers app or .com. $2,000 play on Milan under 1.5 cards at -106. Incidentally, most of the money on Milan, most of the money on unders, and they've been a little bit undery. When I spoke to Will White about Milan last week, he did put up unders as part of the daily double, which cashed 78% of the tickets on overs. So smart money on unders, wreck money on overs, which is a lot of the time happens, doesn't it? Both teams to score us hit in each of the last 4 Serie A matches between Torino and AC Milan, though, incidentally. 3 of Milan's last 4 Serie A away matches have resulted in a draw. Byron says he's lost a cheap place, +120 for a shot on target is a look. He had 4 in midweek. We put him up, or I put him up. I'm going to take some glory. I put him up. He played further forward in that game, Myron, as you probably know if you watched it. And he takes shots and, from 25 yards, 30 yards. He's a good striker of the football, Loftus-Cheek. Not 100% he's going to play, but Jimenez is still out, so you never know. For that one. Brad Betts, Lewis hit the nail on the head with the REA. He can go missing, but he's a quality player. Ray, good to see you. One more game to take a look at, and we have got the second part of our daily double on this one. I'm also going to run through some stats for the Monday Night Football as well, and the NFL game for you before we go. Let's tackle Osasuna Levante here. Osasuna -152. When we talked about this game on the Euro show, Steve liked Osasuna on the money line. They were -130. If you've got a good price over the weekend, well done. I still think minus 152 is okay. They've been a massive home team over the last few years. Home record isn't quite as good this year as last year. Home only table last year for Osasuna, they were 6th. It's just one of those grounds, El Sadar, that they are very good at by and large. Levante have been better away from home this season, but they're in poor form for me. They beat a 5th-tier side in the Copa del Rey last week by a 1-0, and they've lost their last 4 in La Liga. I really like Osasuna. When you've bet them minus money, or when bettors have bet them minus money at home over the last 5 seasons, your return on investment is 23%. It's 13 from 19 winners. They're not minus money every single week because they're an unfashionable side. But generally, every single season, the last 4, they've made you money. They're 0 from 1 this season because they drew with Elche. But I think they can be trusted even at a short price. I mean, minus 0.75 on the Asian line is about minus 109. Might be a little bit shorter now, minus 115. I would take that. I quite like Osasuna, but we got the second leg of the daily double from Lewis on this one. Lewis.
Yeah, it was along the same lines really with this home form. Really, I was looking to try and get that home win on my side, but that price is it's just I think it's disappeared a little bit. I mean, if you want the prices that Steve recommended on the show for the mid weekend, then I think you're in a good spot. But it just got a little bit too skinny for me, so I decided to try and find another couple of angles. And they've scored in their last 27 home matches, Osasuna, in a row, which is an incredible statistic. And I'm all for trying to find angles to snap a trend, as I mentioned earlier with Wolves, trying to preempt their goal drought coming to an end. But I just can't see how Levante stop Osasuna scoring here, because Levante are absolutely horrendous at the back. I mean, they've conceded 26 goals so far. That's the joint most of any team in the league. It's 1.85 per game they concede, and it's completely backed up by the expected goals against data as well, which is the second worst in the league. So they're a team that concede lots of high-quality chances to the opposition. So the task here was just to try and eke out a little bit more of a better price on Osasuna. I think the way to do that is just to head to the team total here and back Osasuna over 1.5 goals. I think the price is around sort of minus 125. It might shorten a little bit more. And that's the angle I'm going to stick in this daily double with this Wolves handicap, because they're, as I mentioned, really good at scoring goals from a really reliable team. Scored 1.68 goals per 90 across the last 2 seasons at home. So not too far away from that sort of magic 2 marker. And just factor in how easy Levante are to score against, does seem a little bit of juice in the team total price, I think. So yeah, I'm going to happy to put them together with Wolves for the daily double, which gives us a nice plus money bet to attack. But another official play here, I'm gonna back their centre forward to score here. Dan scored 18 in his last 16 home games for Osasuna. This guy Budimir, the Croatian Budimir. Yeah, I mean, decent. That's like Erling Haaland levels of finishing. That's better than a goal a game over 16 home games. That absolutely comes to life when he plays at his home ground. He's plus 120 to score any time, I believe. I'm not sure we had that on the graphic there, but I looked at earlier, it was plus 120. Thought that was a big price considering that record. It just turns into a bit of a playground for Budimir when he plays at this stadium. And he's, having watched him a bit for Croatia over the years, he is that sort of between the posts kind of striker, a bit of a goal hanger, doesn't get too much involved with the build-up, just wants to get into areas where he can score goals, and they're going to get balls into him, and he's pretty deadly when he's playing for Osasuna in this stadium. So this sensational record that he's got, this price plus 120 just looks too big to ignore, I think. So we've got to have a little bit of a Budimir to score any time as well, plus money, considering that record when he plays at home. But for the main play for the daily double, we're gonna just concentrate on the team total for Osasuna over 1.5, and hopefully Budimir can get both of them, Dan.
Let's hope so. We'll take that all day long. Budimir plus 115 anytime goal scorer. Osasuna minus 152 on the money line. I'm going to take them minus 3/4 ball, closer to even money. For me, yeah. I mean, Byron says Osasuna at home is always a look. That is for sure. And Byron says, Dan Lewis, if you had to pick one match to attend, Ivory Coast, Ecuador, or Ghana, Croatia. That's a bit of a random one. Which one was he talking?
Easy,
World Cup
easy.
Here? Which one?
I mean, I'm on Ecuador to win the World Cup, so I'd definitely be going to Ivory Coast versus Ecuador.
Yeah, I think I might go for that.
My Ecuador
just
shirt. So
we are massively running out of time, but just on Ecuador, when they said it was seeded, does that put you off a little bit? You know, because you got the tennis seeds and to get. Do you know what I mean? I think that's a slight negative. Yeah,
They got a tough group
I've
as
bet
well.
them as well. Yeah, yeah.
They have got a tough group, but I'm hoping they just won't concede any goals, Dan. So that this is the key to this Ecuador bet is the fact that no team is going to score past them in the conditions. So hopefully
yeah.
they can 1-0 their way all the way to the final. Hopefully.
That'll do. Last point of order before we depart. Chris says, can't bet United at almost minus 200. Rob Cost says, taking Wolves is insane. We take them on the handicap. On the handicap, Rob.
Yeah.
Plus 1.5 goal start. United can win 1-0. That'll do. Or 4-3 or whatever. Right. Last look at the NFL, or first look at the NFL before we depart. Just got some stats for you here. As you can see, Eagles minus 137 on the money line, Chargers plus 114. The spread is -2. 79% of the money, 78% of the tickets on the Eagles, 71% of the money, 73% of the tickets on the Eagles for the spreads. Over and unders, 65% of the money, 72% of the tickets on the overs. 7 of the Chargers' last 8 Monday night games have gone under the total points line. Chargers have won each of the last 6 home games against opponents on a losing streak, which is today. Player trends, A.J. Brown has scored the first touchdown in 2 of the Eagles' last 3 road games. Jalen Hurts has scored at least 1 touchdown in each of the Eagles' last 5 road games against AFC opponents. And Kimani Vidal has scored a touchdown in each of the Chargers' last 3 home games. Those 1 or 2 trends and bits and pieces for you when it comes to the game. Obviously, we've got our NFL show a little bit later on today. If you want to hear more about that one from the boys, Eagles at the Chargers is the Monday Night Football tonight. I think that is 8:15 Eastern. That wraps it up for us tonight. It's a very quick poll if you want to get involved in that Monday Night Football. Are you taking the Eagles or the Chargers here? Guy called Ace says, I'm leaning under 41.5. Wolves should have gone 5 straight games without a goal, says Shoe Daddy. And Byron says, under Eagles best. Is his particular play. Right, just a reminder, Lewis, rattle through the daily double for us before we go.
Yeah, so it's Wolves on the plus 1.5 handicap on the Asian line. So as long as Manchester United don't win by 2 or more, that'll cop. And then we just need Osasuna to clear their 1.5 goals line. But I'd also give a shout out for Budimir as well. Anytime goal scorer plus 115, certainly worth a look.
Brilliant stuff. Lewis, enjoyed your company as per usual. To everyone, have a good betting Monday. We are back tomorrow, of course, with more Betting Weekly Live, Champions League midweek schedule. Plenty to look forward to from all of us. For now, though, it is goodbye.